Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair,
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 52 of A Double and Dice, and today we're going to talk about a female character in Dice Masters, a female character that doesn't exist right now in Dice Masters, but will soon, but doesn't have a character card.
Well, that's not confusing at all, is it, Kim?
Was that confusing? I don't know.
Is it a character that exists in Dice Masters? I mean, the character's image is going to appear on an upcoming OP card.
Yes.
Which is why we've chosen to talk about her today, because in our episode 51, as you might have recalled, we had no idea what we were talking about. So here we are today to rectify that mistake.
Yes.
So who are we talking about today, Kim?
Today we're talking about Armor.
Right. Armor is an X-Man, sort of.
Sort of.
So this is what we've learned about Armor. Armor is the character that is shown on the Mutant Armor basic action card in the upcoming Dark Phoenix Saga OP kit, which will hopefully be available soon from a friendly local game store near you. And Armor is a mutant, and she joined the Xavier Institute. And at the time that they started building training squads, she was placed with Kitty Pryde's training squad, which was called Paladin Squad, along with two other characters that I've never heard of before, Blindfold and Wing.
Never heard of them either.
At some point, while they were at the school, Armor and Wing were attacked by a character called Ord of Breakworld, and Armor used her mutant powers to punch out Ord, which really took him by surprise, and eventually Armor and Wing were overpowered, and Wing was injected with something called the Hope Serum, and that caused him to lose his powers. Wing was then in a deep depression, and unfortunately, he committed suicide in the danger room. After his death, Armor and Kitty Pryde, along with some other students, were trapped in the danger room, which is now sentient and hostile. And eventually, Danger fled the Institute, and they were freed. So she had some history with this Breakworld, and there was a battle on Breakworld where she proved herself by aiding in Breakworld's liberation with Wolverine. So she's, was involved in a few things. Now, you may have heard of something called M-Day in the comics, Kim. Have you heard of this before?
No.
So M-Day is where Scarlet Witch altered reality. So prior to M-Day, Scarlet Witch altered reality so much that mutants were the dominant race. She then altered reality again, attempting to rid the world of the mutant gene by casting another spell, No More Mutants, depowering the vast majority of mutants. They called this the decimation, and it reduced the mutant population down to a few hundred, as most mutants were depowered and some others were killed as a result of losing their powers. In total, over 986,000 mutants were either depowered or killed, and at the time of the decimation, it was estimated that 91.4% of the world's mutant population lost their powers overnight. However, Armor was one of 27 students that retained their mutant powers at the school when this happened during the M-Day storyline. She participated in Emma Frost's Battle Royale to become a member of the New X-Men, at which point I thought maybe we were talking about wrestling, but this is still about comic books.
Then I thought it was MMA.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because we didn't talk about her directly. So she is from Tokyo. Her real name, which I'm sure I'm pronouncing incorrectly, and I apologize in advance, is Hisako Ichiki, and she's from Standard Earth 616. So that's kind of the history there. So after M-Day, and after the aftermath of M-Day and whatever else happened, eventually she joined Cyclops when he created a new haven for mutant kind in San Francisco. So Armor relocated west and was officially inducted to the X-Men at that point. It was as a result of how she had proven herself during the Breakworld liberation. While she was in San Francisco, Danger, who we'd heard about earlier, and the horrible Danger Room incident, joined the X-Men there in what was now called Utopia, and Armor confronted her in the X-Brig. Can't just be the brig. It can't just be the jail. It has to be the X-Brig. About her part in Wing's death, and they battled. And during the battle, Danger shared that she sees Wing inside her program every day, and she's trying to learn about mutants. So after that, Armor realized that Danger actually felt like some, grief and possibly some part of like that she was part of the death, like it was kind of like her fault. She felt, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but as a result of that, Armor sort of maybe had a little bit of a chink in her armor and agreed to help teach Danger about mutants. Later on, there was a schism formed between Wolverine and Cyclops. They had different visions of what they wanted the X-Men to be, and there was a big split. This was a really fun HeroClix storyline, FYI. So at that point, Armor followed Wolverine instead of Cyclops. So she returned east to the site of Xavier's school in Westchester and rebuilt it as Jean Grey's school for higher learning. Other than that, I mean, she was involved in some other reality-altering storylines with Nate Grey, and then eventually when the mutants joined created the island of Krakoa and all sort of joined hands and said, let's just work together for the better of mutant kind.
And
She became
she
became a citizen of Krakoa there, and she planted a Krakoan flower on Mars, and she spent some of her time going out to reach out and find other mutants that hadn't heard about the invitation to Krakoa from Professor Xavier or had not answered the call, so she helped find them and bring them into the fold. So those are sort of a few things about Armor. Her powers are that she has the psionic exoskeleton armor. She can generate an enormously strong and powerful, durable, and impenetrable psionic exoskeleton armor around her entire physical body. It can be further enhanced by drawing more power, energy, and strength from the bloodline of her Japanese ancestors. It drastically increases her strength, endurance, stamina, agility, invulnerability, and durability, but she can only maintain it for short periods of time or she becomes very drained. In situations of extreme emotional stress, she can significantly enhance the exoskeleton's size, strength, agility, dexterity, and durability, but only very briefly, as the strain can render her unconscious. And then also, her armor enhances tremendously when her relatives die. So during a few of these storylines, we found that we were doing our research, there were a couple of times where her exoskeleton got super big and she couldn't really control it. And then she found out that her father had passed away. So when she has some kind of connection, when that happens, she also had a connection with Wolverine. And when Wolverine, spoiler alert, dies, she felt that. So that's sort of one of those things. The armor, as we mentioned, gives her superhuman strength, superhuman durability, and invulnerability. And she can cause her armor to release a large concussive blast of energy, but it takes a lot of concentration. She's a relatively new character. She was first introduced in Astonishing X-Men Volume 3, Number 4 from 2004, so not quite 20 years ago.
Right.
So as far as comics, the history of comics go, she's just a baby.
She's a kid.
So that is Armor, Kim.
Cool.
And just a few things about her, and I certainly feel like I know a little bit more about Armor now, and if I see her again on a Dice Masters card, I won't be like, oh, who's that juggernaut behind this little girl? Right? So yeah, that's a learning that I took away from that. So Kim, do you want to talk about her card that we're going to see, or the basic action card that features her likeness?
Yes. We better hope it's her. No. So as we said, this is a basic action card called Mutant Armor, which is coming out in the Dark Phoenix new up kit. And it is a continuous
basic action
card. Which means you actually, any continuous die, you sit it in the field and it'll trigger depending on what the ability or what the ability is. So this one is prevent up to 2 damage to target character die and move this die to your used pile. So you can trigger that and prevents 2 damage, and then that's what triggers it to move it to the used piles out of your field zone. And then if you have an active X-Men character, you also gain 1 life. And I believe this is a 3 cost. I think that says 3 there. 3 basic action cost. So
yeah. So yeah, so that's interesting. So if you're not familiar with continuous, as Kim mentioned, you place it in the field. So it's a die you actually field. So it places and it sits in your field until such time as you use it. So as we mentioned, it's a preventative die. So when is it when you would take damage, or
When you can prevent up to 2 damage to target character
to
die.
target character die. So
Yep.
if one of your dice is going to get KO'd and you have a mutant armor sitting there in the field, it will prevent 2 damage, and if that's enough to prevent it from being KO'd, then you'll be good to go there.
Yep.
Interestingly, it does say prevent up to 2 damage to target character die. It doesn't say yours.
Yeah, so it can be any character die on both
You could
sides.
actually prevent damage to your opponent's character die. I don't know if and when that would be valuable, because I'm just thinking about that now, but that's interesting. And if you're a crazy Dice Masters brewer, maybe you can come up with a reason why you might want to prevent damage to your opponent's dice. Who knows, right?
Maybe
and then
you want them sitting there for a purposely reason of, another basic action.
Yeah, maybe, Kim. Maybe you want it there for
you don't want to
Hellfire
actually
Gala.
KO it, but you never know.
But interesting. But yeah, so that's what the card does. And then based on a X-Men theme team type thing, if you wanted to have X-Men characters on your team, then you can also gain life when you use the die.
Mm-hmm.
Continuous. Let's talk about continuous and attune, Kim.
Yeah.
So when does the attune? Attune is a trigger when you use a basic action die. Some of our Dice Masters cards have that keyword. When would attune trigger with continuous?
As soon as you field your continuous die, it will trigger at that point, not when you use it.
Yeah, and then when you actually use the effect of the die, at that point is when it would move to your use pile.
Yeah.
Or you're out of play, depending on if it's your turn or not. Right. When you use it.
Yeah.
So on your turn, it would go out of play. On your opponent's turn, it would go directly to your use pile. Because you could use it in either case.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we also know that in the set, the Dark Phoenix set, there are some characters that deal with continuous action dice, like Moira, which we talked about in a previous episode. So you might want to go back and check out that Moira episode if you haven't listened to it yet, to hear about what Moira can do with continuous action dice. Mm-hmm. If you're playing against a mutant armor, and how that might be protected. How Moira could be effective there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about this.
About this card?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting when you can actually use it.
I think it's neat, and I like that we've now learned about this character. Mm-hmm. Because we didn't know who it was before, and hopefully Armor will get an actual card of her own in future, like a card with her name on it. I did learn that I have HeroClix characters with this name.
There you go.
But I didn't really know who they were. And now I do. So yeah, so that's Armor. So what do you think of Armor as a basic action card? Is it something you want to play with? Is there some kind of weird interaction that would allow you to prevent damage to your opponent's character die that would benefit you? Jackalope spam. Let us know if there's something that you can if there's something that you can suggest that would make that interesting. I just think it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to playing with it. I'm just looking forward to having new cards on my mat and doing new and interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right, I think that's all we have to say about Armor.
Yeah. Should we move on to our dice bag?
Let's do it. So our dice bag was average heavy this week.
Yeah. Yep.
So we heard from everyone's fave hero, Donnie, on
YouTube.
Always. And he replied back that the alternate win condition could be fun to try. I kind of wonder what other cards can make your opponents field things. And this is in response to our episode 51, where we talked about the Dark Phoenix OP kit, and specifically around Hellfire Gala, which is the first alternate win condition in Dice Masters that we've seen so far. He also continues, although these cards are not in the traditional format, I like most of them from an art perspective. I would never want the set cards to come out this way, as I find them hard to read. It may be better in person. I do like that they used Armor as a character on a card, and I do like the green Jean Grey card, which is one of the Hellfire character Hellfire basic actions. And it's also cool to get a super rare in there in the OP kit. And there's actually 2. There's Magneto and Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
So there's an option to get a super rare in the OP kit. So that's pretty cool. We also heard from Mr. Spin.
Yes.
And Mr. Spin says, I thought the reveal was great and the cards are really cool. Personally, I'm just worried about ever getting them.
Yeah, I think that's everybody's worry.
There is literally no Dice Masters activity in my area, but I've been trying to get a local store on board. It's funny because when I started playing last April, I went to all my local stores and bought anything they had left of DM. Now I'm trying to get them to buy more. Hopefully I succeed. And our very own Jordan replied back, I think getting this OP kit will be a little more challenging than it should be. Lots of places, at least here in Canada, are still not doing in-store gaming, which makes this potentially difficult. I hope you and anyone else searching for it are successful in getting your local store to bring it in for the players. So yeah, I think, it's a hard time right now. We don't talk about it on the podcast really much, aside from side references, but the pandemic is still happening, and there are people that are unwell, and there's restrictions in various parts of the countries that we have listeners in, and that makes it a little bit harder to play in person. I think that when Jimmy revealed these with DM Armada on stream, he did say that they were looking at ways to get them into people's hands if they couldn't get into a store, or if a store didn't have the ability to order them in, or those types of things. So there may be a way to get them down the line. But in the meantime, I think, what Mr. Spin said about going to local stores and engaging with local stores and, trying to get your friends involved are really important things around building a local scene, right? So, talk to your local store, buy their product, engage with them, offer to set up a learn to play, and commit to it. And it can be frustrating, right, Kim?
Yeah, at first, because you don't know if anybody's going to show up, but you got to keep trying, right? So
if you're able to do that in person where you are, right? Of course, we're not suggesting you do anything against government regulations or anything like that. But if
we're not promoting that here.
But if you have the ability to play in person, and if you have the ear of someone at your local store who's willing to give it a try, that would be a great opportunity, right? And worst case scenario, you and maybe you have one friend that plays with you, the two of you go down and you play in the store, and maybe people will be interested and ask about it, the people that are coming in and out. So hopefully we'll be able to build up. I really think it's great that WizKids is putting an OP kit out, regardless of how anyone feels about the art and the style and the readability and etc. They're showing no one specific.
Okay.
But they're showing that they understand there is still interest in this game, and we just have to find the people. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kim?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're just gonna nod.
Mm-hmm. They can't see me nodding, but I'm just gonna. Mm-hmm. By the way, Spin wrote us back on dmNorth.com.
Oh, there you go.
dm-north.com. Yep.
dm-north.com. I hope it was dm-north.com.
Yeah, me too.
dmNorth.com is not our website.
Look, it's not even in dark mode for me. Because
I was thinking maybe I had done that earlier accidentally and copied it from YouTube, because Kim's YouTube's in dark mode, but mine's not. So thanks, Donnie, or thanks, Mr. Spin, for going to the website and providing feedback, and thanks, Donnie, for providing feedback on the YouTube.
Yep.
And finally, we heard from Jackalope Spam, and he sent me a direct Discord message, as he often does. All of his comments are kind of around this OP kit as well. And he said, I'm interested to see what kind of impact Hellfire Gala makes on the game. So I'm going to take an aside here. We considered doing an episode about Hellfire Gala. Right, Kim?
We did.
But everybody's talking about Hellfire Gala. It's the new hotness, and no one's talking about Mutant Armor, which is why we chose to do Mutant Armor instead. Hellfire Gala will be interesting and a lot of fun, and I think there's some cool stuff to do with that card, and it's got an alternate win condition, and it's a 6-cost basic action, and if you want to hear more about it, go to our last episode 51, go to the website, dm-north.com, go to bertroller6.com, go to DM Armada's YouTube channel. Like, there's lots of stuff happening around Hellfire Gala right now.
I have something to say about Hellfire Gala.
Go for it, Kim.
So here's my worry about this card.
Okay.
If they make you work to get characters out in the field to get that win condition, great. If they bring out cards that's going to make it easier for you to do this in the future product sets to win faster, I fear it will get banned.
I don't think it's going to get banned, Kim.
because they think it's going to happen, but then everybody's using it and they're making it too easy, only if they bring out cards that will help you get there. If they don't and it makes you work for it, I think it'll be fine. But if they bring stuff to support it to help you and then it's going too fast for the game and they didn't think about that, that card will get banned.
But it's still pretty.
I know, I'm just saying context-wise.
Yeah.
That's my fear about that card.
All right, well, I think we have to talk about Hellfire Gala now, Kim.
That's all I have to say for it.
Well, we should read the card to provide context to those players that aren't familiar with it if they didn't listen to the last episode. So Hellfire Gala is a 6-cost basic action that is exclusively available in the Dark Phoenix OP kit that is scheduled to release in North America on February 23rd-ish. It is a 6-cost. Did I mention that?
Yes.
Okay. It says roll 2 dice from your bag. Each player fields 3 sidekick dice from their use pile. If there are 16 or more dice in the field zone, win the game.
So you're ready at least putting 3 in the field for each side.
Assuming you have 3 sidekicks in your use pile.
So let's
it depends on what your bag management looks like.
Yeah.
Right? You're rolling 2 dice in your bag. Maybe you roll 2 characters and you can't field them. There's no energy. Who knows, right? Like there's a lot of things there to do that. I'm sure there's a way to break it. Don't get me wrong. That's what Dice Masters players love to do, right? They love to break cards. But if we look at, it's a 6 cost.
You can make that cheaper.
Sure, you can make it cheaper, and sure there's alternate ways to talk about it, which I'm going to talk about it when we get through Nick's comment. But it's still a 6 cost. It's a win more. It's an alternate win condition. I don't think, aside from people trying to figure out how to make it work in the beginning, I don't think this is going to be meta level, and I don't think it's going to be something that's going to get banned. Like if we look at what WizKids
Yes.
what WizKids has banned in the past, it took them a long time to ban super rare Wanty Epic Pureblood, and that card was super broken, right? Like it was a 2-cost super rare from Tomb of Annihilation, and when it was active, when you purchased an action die, it triggered a tune for all characters in the field.
Yep.
And it took them over a year to ban that card.
Well, they're slow anyway.
It was a long time, right? So, and like they banned, was it Shriek Sonic Beam, like 2 weeks before rotation, the last rotation we had. Again, that was a power card. It had been a power card in that it was a strong
Blanker.
Support card. It would ignore the text of any card on your opponent's team. And there wasn't a ton of ways to deal with it. And it created, the little mini game, like, can I shriek your shriek before you can shriek my shriek? Right? Do I shriek your shriek or do I shriek your win
don't bring
condition?
shriek.
Right? So there were, that card was in Modern for a very long time. And then eventually WizKids did decide to ban it. And then it ended up being banned very, very close to a rotation when it was going to be banned anyway. So the history of WizKids banning cards, it's not crazy. And the cards that they do ban are really broken right away. Right?
Well, we're going to find out how broken this card is then.
Yeah, so we're going to find out. But and there are other ways to use it, which I'm about to talk about. So let's get into the rest of Nick's comment. So that's Hellfire Gala. It is the first alt win con, but it's rather balanced since both players could buy it and use it. And I think that's a fair comment. If you put it on your team, your opponent has just as much access to it as you do. Mm-hmm. Further, if both players are going for it, the risk is all the higher since it, as far as we know, counts both sides of the field, because that's what it says, right?
Right. Yeah.
Characters in the field zone, not your field zone, their field zone. That's where I think it's going to get interesting. What do you do if your opponent brings it to the table? Do you stay lean to make it harder for them to achieve the 16 dice, which, Kim, I think was your strategy?
Yep.
Well, if you do, then they're likely going to be able to go wide and you could win through combat damage. So in the absence of something like Green Devil Mask was a trap, also from Tomb of Annihilation. When it was sitting in your field, if your opponent fielded the 4th character die, they had to reroll their character dice, and any character dice that rolled energy faces went to the use pile via out of play, depending on if it was your turn or not. How do you play against it? That's the question. Well, we don't know everything that's coming in the Dark Phoenix set, so maybe there's something that plays against it.
Or Kryptonite, who knows?
Yeah. As for playing it yourself, you have to make sure that you can do it better, faster than your opponent. So I think globals are not the way to go to get the discount, which is what we talked about in our last episode, because you give the opponent your win con and one of the ways to get it. Instead, you'll want things like Forge with Energize, which is from one of the X-Men sets that's currently out, and it makes basic actions cheaper when you roll it on an Energize face, which is 2 energies, or Yawning Portal to discount asymmetrically, aka for you but not your opponent. Nick says, I may already have a team in mind to use Hellfire Gala. And that, then he sort of continues off there. And then I came up with one other thing that I didn't think about when we were recording the episode because I was just so excited. The other Becky.
Yep.
Right? So the Becky, the main Becky Lynch made in Ireland, is the Becky. Then there's the other Becky, which is the 4 cost with Overcrush. The man. And then you have the other Becky, which is the 5 cost straight fire.
No, the other way around.
Okay.
The 4 cost Overcrush with straight fire, and the 5 cost is the man.
The man. And what happens with that one is when she attacks, you can roll an unpurchased basic action die.
You can choose an unpurchased non-continuous basic action die and roll it. Yep.
Yep. So that would be a Hellfire Gala. And if it rolls an action face, then you can use the effect.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is going to be one of the easiest ways to get to Hellfire Gala.
You have to have the 16 waiting for you to do that, and then you do it, and then hope you do it.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of that.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have the 16, Kim, then it allows you to do the rest of it. Draw 2 dice from your bag and roll them.
Mm-hmm.
Each player fields 3 sidekick dice from their use pile.
Nobody will probably use Page on that card.
What does Page do?
Each player must add one of their unpurchased dice to their bag.
Oh, basic action dice?
It doesn't say that.
Oh,
it could be any die. Each player may add one of their unpurchased dice to their bag. So I'm assuming it doesn't say character or basic action, so I think it could be anything.
Yeah. And then Nick, when I mentioned that to Nick, he said he hadn't even considered that. Even after just recently mentioning it in a previous comment that he had sent to us about our podcast. He had some other ideas, which I don't know if I am cleared to share on his team build, so I won't share them. But I would be interested to hear what you're thinking about how to get Hellfire Gala, how to make this work, what to do with this card, as well as with Mutant Armor, which we just spent, the main part of our podcast talking about.
Nick, you're supposed to be only using Becky for the global.
Just for the global.
Yeah. Nothing for anything else.
Speaking of that, if you haven't been to our Discord channel, I recommend that you go there and just type in the word Becky. And you'll see why.
Yep.
So. Okay, Kim. So I think that's it for the dice bag. There was a little bit of conversation about the cards in our Discord channel, dmNorthTV. Around the A Double and Dice podcast convo channel, and there was some conversation about the cards, the readability, the art, things like that. So join the conversation there, and you can stay up to date on all things A Double and Dice. But I think at this point we're going to move on to current events in Dice Masters.
Yeah. So Tuesdays. Still.
A Double and Dice presents weekly dice tournament.
Yeah. We're still doing that. It's still going on. So Tuesdays, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. Join us at dmNorthTV on Twitch. And we have themes going on. And if you're not on the Dice Masters Discord as well, you can get the info there. We always plug that stuff into our show notes, so you can click and join. Also, we're actually recording this on a very different day and time.
We are.
So by the time this podcast actually drops, it'll be too late, but Team Takedown is starting up.
Yeah, and really good participation it's looking like, Kim. I think there were 20 people signed up as of the time that we recorded. Yeah. Yep.
So that's great turnout. So if you have not ever heard of the Team Takedown, head over to our website, dm-north.com. Read up the details there, just to get an idea, and I'm sure a lot of people will be streaming and videoing it and all that, recording it and all that stuff, so you can watch the games and how they work. So
yeah, I think the key thing about that is it's not a single day tournament.
Right.
It's every week you get a
Yep.
match, and you have a week to play your match, and then once everyone's matches are recorded, they start
into round
the
2.
next
Yep.
round. Yeah.
Yep. So right now, I guess it's looking at 5 rounds.
Yeah,
with
so it's at
20
least
people.
5 weeks of Dice Masters.
Yeah. So that should be fun. So that's coming up. And also coming up at the end of the month, Saturday, February 26th, is Dice Social.
Yay.
2 p.m. Eastern time on dmNorthTV. I was going to say Twitch.
No, we don't have a Switch game yet.
No. So we're going to try using the rush keyword for that. So that's our theme. So you're going to build a team around the rush keyword.
Interesting. So everyone's got to bring a rush team.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I'll build a team because I'm actually never tried this before. So if we have odd players, I might actually play. So, yeah, I'm gonna build a rush team.
Yeah, I think that's fun. Rush is a new keyword. It's a new way to ramp that came out in the Infinity Gauntlet set, and it's a little tricky. So it's an opportunity for everyone to learn how to rush.
Yeah, that's why I called it "Don't Rush Me." So, we did do a keyword corner on rush on our YouTube, so I will post a link for that when the Dice Social stuff goes up. But if you do go over to our YouTube, you can find that video and take a look and get yourself familiar with the rush keyword.
Yeah, because it's a little interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot of fun, and I look forward to building a rush team and trying to figure out how rush works.
Mm-hmm. And all of that, you got your Thursday's Dice Fight with the DM United folks.
Yep.
So you can check that out in the Dice Masters Discord. They go through Discord to do their games. And I think that's it for coming up in all the stuff Dice Masters.
Yeah, coming up in online Dice Masters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Dark Phoenix Saga is scheduled to release on February 16th in North America. The OP kit is tentatively scheduled for February 23rd in North America. Dates have not been confirmed for international listeners, but check your friendly local game store, find out about your pre-orders. Hopefully you'll have some new Dice Masters to play with in just a week and a half or so from the time that we drop this episode. And we would love to hear what you think of the set, of the cards, of all those types of things in preparation for our big anniversary episode, which will be episode number 53, because we're starting our 3rd year. Right, Kim?
We will be starting our 3rd year.
Yep. So there is an appearance planned for Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
And get your tickets now. It's free.
The rest of it is veiled and shrouded in mystery, so you'll have to tune into episode 53 to find out all of the wonderful things that we're doing as we go into our 3rd year of this podcast.
Yeah, no backsies there, Dr. Teeth, because we already got our people on you.
That's right. So, we've talked a lot about asking you to contact us, so let's go through the list of places that you can find us. You can find us on all of the socials. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at dmNorthTV. Our website, as Kim has mentioned multiple times this episode, is dm-north.com. We are on Twitch, twitch.tv/dmNorthTV. On YouTube, same thing, youtube.com/dmNorthTV. And you can also send us an email at dpodcast@dm-north.com. So until next time, on a double and dice.